Hello, fellas. You are here. Either you are building something serious, or you already built something huge and you want to grow it, or you are really curious. In any way, welcome to Commit. Today, I will guide you to implement Commit React Native plugin and NodeJS SDK to your mobile app and connect your mobile app to your service. Let's begin. At the end of the tutorial, you will have a kind of great application with all chat features. You will able to log in your users and you can get to messages list and list of your users' messages and let them to chat each other. As you can see, both users can see the online users. And one of them texts to the other one can see immediately. If the message has read by other, the current user can know, and if the opposite user is typing also, the current user can recognize that instantly with help of the indicators. Since we as Commit Dev team already work on it and improve all of these features, it will be better and better. Now let's begin to coding and implement all these features step by step. First, we need to initiate a React Native application. In this tutorial, we decided to use React Native version 0.72.7, which the stable version. That's why we set the version in the initialization command. This can take time, so I pause the video here and I will continue after the command ends. Now we have the project. Let's open it on Visual Studio Code. Here we have project folder structure. First, we will modify app.tsx file and will prepare it for our code base as we need. We will use some dependencies on this project. Let's take a quick look at them and start by installing them. One of them is React Query Package that we will use it for server-side actions. The others are Redux and Axios for state management and server requests. The other one is React Navigation for navigations and screen transitions. We will use bottom tab bar navigation, so let's also install that one. As the last one, we can install Commit React Native package. Then we can run pod install command in iOS folder to download pod files. After that, we can have our first build on iOS simulator to see if everything went well. But before that, let's define some folders and create folder structure for screens, Redux store, and hooks. Let's dive into that and clean app.tsx file and prepare it for the first build. Now define our navigation skeleton. It's time to get our first build. This can take time. While it's building, we can do some configurations for the dependencies that we downloaded. We can configure the React query as first. We can follow the website and get implemented by the guide. I prefer to wrap navigation container with React Query Provider. Then we can define another screen login, or let's add it later since we still have something to add before we define login screen. Let's go to Redux and add our state management definition. In this tutorial, we decided to use Redux, which is one of the most popular state management packages for React, but you can use any of the state management package because we don't need to use state management for this app because commit does not need any state from the app. Commit has its own state with the data that we will pass to it. Let's define our first reducer and wrap whole app with Redux provider. There is an example as counter slice. We can rename it as we need. And we can modify actions and types. Let's call auth reducer and store. I prefer to wrap app with store and index.js. Let's see we get our first build. Yes, we can see our home screen very well. Now we can define new screens and start to dive into the coding. Let's begin with login screen. I had already built login screen by using ChatGPT and it gave me a pretty nice screen for me to use it on this app. We need login React query hook actually, either we can disable it but we need it to use for UI elements here or we can quickly define it and implement it. Since this is going to be a post request, we need use mutation hook from React query. And we only need username field for this request. Because here we don't implement auth from scratch with all logic. So all we need to return is username back for now till we have our backend. In React Query Hook, we need to set also onSuccess function to save user info. Let's define user in app.tsx and check if there is user render the home in tab navigator, otherwise let's render login screen. I don't want to render tab bar in login screen, let's disable it here. Very well, as soon as I enter username, I can navigate to home screen. I also want to modify home screen and render username in home screen. Let's also modify tab navigator, so I don't render icons, I only render name of the screens on tab navigator. And I want to set some colors for active and inactive tabs to make it good as visual. And next thing we will do is messages list screen. And then chat screen that we will allow our users to chat there. but with quick changes because I don't want a render chat screen button on tab bar. It will accessible only from message list screen. At that point, we need a backend service. On GitHub commits page, there is a simple example for backend service with commit node SDK implementation. We can directly download it. Let's take a quick look at the service. In index file, we have commit initialization with keys that we need. Since we don't have any of them, let's disable that part. But we still need a DB because we will save users as first. I prefer to use Mongo Atlas for that because it's easy to use and already backend uses Mongo, so we can go to Mongo Atlas website and create a database especially for this project. Let me log in and get to project creation. Here you can create a new project. As project name iChat, you set the permissions for the users. And then create a database. I choose the free option here. And set username for the access and get the password of it that we gonna use in project. In the end, we get the connection link and we store it in .env file. Let's run the project. Yes, we're able to connect to database. Let's also connect database through Mongo Compass. And here we can see all the database and collections. Now we can create Axios instance file to connect it to our backend. I will just copy and paste the simple logic from one of the old projects. Base URL represents the URL that we will be using throughout the project, and timeout field specifies the number of milliseconds before the request times out. Here we can set 1 second or 3 second or 5 second as millisecond. We have different routers in backend, and for the user login we use user router. If there is already a user in database, it returns it, otherwise it creates a new account for the username. Let's modify our useLogin React query hook with service request. And log in with new username, which will be created in database. We have a network error. Why? Let's rerun the project. Okay, the port of the backend was 3002, which is not what we set in Axios. Let's update that one. Yes, we are able to create an account and login. Check that particular record in database. It's here. Nice. We can see the user record. Let's create different accounts. All of them are here. Now we can work on messages list screen. All we need new queries to retrieve data from backend and serve it on front end. The first one is for users that we will retrieve from backend and use it on the app. The endpoint we will use is users root directly. The main endpoint returns users. The other one is room router, and the main endpoint returns all rooms. And the last one is the chat for saving messages and retrieving messages. We can create other hooks. So we have all the hooks we need for now. We will trigger them from somewhere, and home screen is the best it seems. But before that, let's go to commit dashboard and create project and company account. Then we can use it on the app. This is the main screen of commit dashboard, that we can see monthly active users and total projects we have. There will be more analysis here as the projects are used. Let's create a project. But before that, we need to create a company. Great, we have apiKey of the company. Let's store it env file. And go to project creation. The first thing we need to set is the project name and webhook URLs. Save message webhook URL is for the message save action that will be triggered in every message, and create room webhook URL is for the room creation action that will triggered as soon as new room created by users. You can see more here in documentation. For these URLs, in order to redirect to our backend, we will be using Ngrok. Ngrok is a redirection tool that gets the localhost port and gives a web-hosted application link that redirects to your application in local port. You can sign up and download for your platform, and as soon as you sign up you can get your token that you need to set for Ngrok in order to use it. I already downloaded and configured, so I will run it right away. And this is my URL that points to my localhost 3000, and I will copy it and paste it on the commit dashboard. The endpoint for save message is under the root endpoint of chat, save message. Create room webhook endpoint is under the room router, create room endpoint. And let's enable all the features to use it on the app. And save it. Here we have projectId and secretKey. Paste them in the env file and enable commit initialization in Backend. As you can see, the commit made requests for our backend for webhook health check that we can see on the terminal. By going to Dashboard Projects section, we can see our active projects. When we render, we can see that the project already enabled for NodeJS by seeing the logo and version on the right bottom corner. Now it's time to do the same for React Native app. First, we import commit provider and modify app.tsx file a little bit in order to wrap the app with commit provider. Here we can define separated main component and wrap it with commit, and we can render it in app component, where we can also define other theme providers. And now we can define commit config object. apiKey, secretKey, and projectId. Here we can import use initiate hook from commit to initialize commit on React Native app. Since we already have these values here in Backend project, let's copy and paste here. And re-render the project and log in one of the users, and then see what we're gonna see on the dashboard. Yes, we can see React Native logo and versions here. Let's come back to Visual Studio Code and trigger some hooks from home screen for commit. I will just copy and paste from old project, but basically what do we do here is import our React query hooks, retrieves data, reformat them, and pass them to commit hooks one by one. It's important to do it in the right order because commit is processing this data and store them on the state. Let's check the successes in a use effect and trigger another function where we will reformat the data for commit hooks. Import commit hooks that we will run here. One for users, one for rooms, and one for messages. Set first users, reformat messages, and reformat rooms. Meanwhile, let's define the type of messages and rooms. These types defined depends on how Backend returns the data. You can modify it by your project. And then set rooms. Then as last, set messages, and commit hooks will recognize the order and will process and store the data in the state by the order. Now get back to message list screen and start to modify it. First, we can add some styling for the screen container component, and we can add comment lines to specify that what components we will define here. First component in this screen is going to be messages header from commit components. The second one is the search bar. Inside of inner container, there will be quick chat component that commit lists all other users for chat. Quick chat needs onPress function for navigating to chat screen, and for that quick chat shares two parameters, room ID and participants for navigation to chat screen, because these parameters can be used in chat screen. We need to set type for use navigation hook. For that, let's go to app.tsx file and define root stack perm list type for tab navigation and access it from messages list screen. Also, we need to set active user by using commit hook and commit with recognize the active user. When we go to messages list screen now, we can see quick chat component that contains users with avatars. And as a last component in the messages list screen, we can render messages list component from commit components. For on press action, we can pass the same function as we passed to quick chat. When we press the user avatar, it navigates to chat screen. I just noticed something that we should not render Tabbar component in chat screen, so let's go to app.tsx and add new options for chat screen definition in Tabbar navigation and hide Tabbar in chat screen. Let's get back to chat screen and define components here to implement chat logic. First, we need to define a go back button on header since we hide the tab bar. For that one, I just copied a basic logic from the old project which uses use navigation hook and set a button for header left in use layout effect hook. Nice, it works as expected. Now we can receive the root parameters that we passed from the messages list screen. Add some styles for container component. And import commit chat components to render here. First component is chat header, which receives two parameters. First one is room ID to render user avatar or room avatar on the header if there is an existing room, and second parameter is participants in case there is no room between these users to render opposite username and avatar on the header. Let's rename chat screen component here because there is a conflict between this and commit chat component. It also receives the same parameters to handle messaging. Only the parameter that we did not pass is load more messages function is for loading more messages as soon as scrolls up, which is not required right now. It seems everything is working. It's time to test. Let's have another build for different simulator and begin for messaging. While it's building, we can take a look at the dashboard. There is only one monthly active user, which is John. Yes, we have more accounts, but we haven't logged in with any of them after we initialize commit on the app. There is no messages and rooms yet. As soon as there is messages, it will be listed here in messages list. Commit can recognize that immediately through the hooks we defined in home screen. We can also hide default tab bar header here in messages list screen. But then we need to wrap the messages list screen with safer view component instead of just view. Now that's good. As you can see, when we press the Go Back button on the chat header, it navigates us to home screen, probably because of the navigate action. We should modify it and make it proper, in my opinion. Okay, instead of calling Go Back action in chat screen, we can navigate to Messages List screen directly. You can modify this navigation by your app skeleton. This is better. Since we have time to wait for building, we can also define a load more messages function here. We don't have to set it up properly, but please keep in your mind this action retrieves messages from your backend with room ID, skip and limit fields for chat screen, because commit does not fill the chat screen once and provides load more messages as user scrolls. There is also warning here we can update and fix. Now we got the build. I will log in with Jessica on this device. And yep, here is Jessica is online on John's device. And Jessica also can see that John is online. Let's send some message from John to Jessica. With some emojis. And Jessica can see the new message instantly. With unread badge. If Jessica starts to typing, John can recognize immediately. By the way, if we disable these indicators on the dashboard, it will not be accessible on the app. App retrieves the configs from dashboard instantly and behaves depends on the configs. As soon as message read by the opposite user, current user can know that in that time. Let's log in with different accounts. Since commit manages all this typing, online and unread message actions, or let's say indicators, it's more easy to build a chat system for developers without headache. We can check the dashboard now and see analytics. And here we can see that there are 3 monthly active users. If we attach more accounts, Commit can recognize that and add it for analytics. When we log in with Maria's account, why do we see Jessica here? We did not have any conversation with Jessica. It shows all the messages between John and Jessica. We have misconfiguration in Backend. We must retrieve only active users' rooms, not all the rooms from the backend. That's the reason that Maria can see Jessica's and John's conversation. Let's fix that. We can pass the user ID here, and we can return only the rooms the user and participants list, so this can protect the rooms and conversations. We can pass this value in query and catch it in the backend. We can add a basic query here for participants field with user ID. Let's pass this value from front end to service request also. User has _ID field in the Redux store, so we can use this value as user ID. Yes, it must be fixed now. Wait, why can't we see any messages here? Check the backend if we can pass the value correctly. Yes, it's on the backend terminal. Okay, then update the query within field. Yes, now it has been resolved. Now we can see messages in John's device, but no messages in Maria's one because she did not have any conversation. Let's begin a conversation between Maria and John also. Let's create new accounts and see if we can see them on the dashboard. Please keep in that mind that what users use share with commit hook commit process that users and shows on the quick chat. If it's a community room, commit renders it. If it's a private room, commit renders it no matter. If you build a social media app or any private app, commit can process it and behaves depends your need. Now Berta and George has conversation. And on the dashboard there are now 5 active users. Thank you for the watching. Please like the video and subscribe the channel so that you can be informed of the updated